All right, welcome to Monday. Let's see here. Let me finish getting myself set up. Yeah, go to that. And click on there. Cool. All right, that's set up. And then, let's see here. All right, what am I doing today? So let me start by closing this out. I got this done. Improving test cases. There's more I want to do there, but I think I really want to move on. I don't want to waste too much time on that for the moment. So I'm calling this done. Got a whole bunch of new test cases in here. Well, 3 of them specifically, right? These 2. Oh, and then this one. And then we dropped 1 test case. And this one's scoring a 0 because it's of a known bug which I have on the tracker here related to title pages, because I pulled in a test case that actually is like the ending of one chapter on the left page, and on the right page it starts a new chapter, and so for both of those it's failing, and I know exactly why. So that scores a 0 right now. We'll have to fix that at some point. Probably not today. Not something I'm going to worry about today. So anyway, this is done. Let's merge it. Squash and merge. Boom. And then I always feel like I need to close Godot. Otherwise, this next step is always a pain. Git status-s. Git checkout add-ons. Let's do that. Right. Yeah, that's gone. Git checkout main. Git branch-d page 2. And then git pull origin main. All right, clean slate. Now we can relaunch Godot. Give that a moment to warm up. So I think there's a couple of things I want to do. Yeah, we'll leave that there. Handle page flipping. Yeah, we can close that. Oh, this is part of the cleanup I forgot to do. That's fine. I'll still leave this up as a reminder. Maybe I'll just add a task to the task board. Clean up old C++ build. Clean up olds. I hate when it does that. Delete. Okay. See the link to the below PR. No, I just want a URL. Mention's fine. We introduced a bunch of .dll files and other files we probably don't need. There is probably also a bunch of junk in the C++ code that can be refactored out of the code base. All right. Throwing that to the bottom of the task board. So now I can close this. Yeah, some of this I cleaned up already. And then this, what's the deal with this? Merging, I'm going to keep this up because I may actually need to draw on this. And then this stuff is from my other experimental repos. I'll keep that up for now. Cool, so this is done. This is a failed experiment. Different approach to chunking, stereo images. Yeah, this is all fine. These 2 can probably be deleted at this point. They're so old. All right, so what do I want to do first? Let's do something fun, because I haven't had too much fun lately. Let's try, and also something that like this would be fun, but it might be a little bit tedious. So let's just stream words in. Let's try to do that. So how's that going to work? This might be fun and quick, or as is usually the case, fun and slow, and will take the entire morning and then take also 2 more days. And I realize it ends up being a harder problem than I thought. So let's think about this. So we get new text in, get a page, get our chunks, and then we add our page is ultimately what we're doing. Okay. So when we add a page, we just set the page and we trigger a signal. And I think this script, yeah, page text, picks up on that signal. The page text updated signal. Page text updated. Oh, this is fun. That's right. I had some tests near here. Cool. This will help me speed up development so I can see how this goes. So page text updated. And let's expand that. Great. So what does it do? Page changed num. Get page. Why is that even used? Does that even care? Oh, this sends... Well, no. That's scheme state. Page num is the number of the page. I'm not sure that matters. I mean, all I check here is like, well, if you didn't pass it, throw an error. But like, this is governed internally. Like the page number for these 2 pages, this one's configured as 0 on the right here, and this one's configured as 1. So we just do a lookup. All right, let's get rid of that. I don't see a point to it. Oh, well, okay, fine. We're basically saying if it's not our page. This might not be needed, but I'll leave it for now. So we get our page. We know which page it is. So there's our page. So we start by removing everything. That's going to be a problem later. I already kind of thought this is going to be an issue. Because the issue, really I guess you could say the desired behavior would be, so when this runs, we use this template and we add a bunch of these things onto the page, a bunch of these lines. So let's start by just streaming those lines in, the new lines in, and adding them one by one. Yeah, I wonder if there's a... got too many thoughts in my head. But here we delete them all, and I don't want to do that going forward. I want to, like, if we're updating an existing page. Do we have that, by the way? So... Well, we do, I mean, we could pass this Boolean over to say whether or not we're updating. Okay, so right now that is a problem. Since this doesn't know if we're updating a new page or not, it has to nuke everything. All right, so here's our defaults. Here's our counter. And then we loop over the page lines. Okay. There should be another way to do this. To like get this template. I think I struggled with this. I think I tried like get by name and it just failed. But I could get that working again. All right, this might be the, let's call this the old way. So func update page old. And we'll call that a void. And we'll call, so that's the old way. We'll do func update page. Call that a void. And pass it for now. So now I should be able to turn on the old way and everything should be fine. So let's see here. Things that this is going to have to do. So we're going to need to, for this to work, we're going to need to know if updating existing page or not. I mean, if we're not, then we can clear house and do everything, just like we were before. Well, for now, I could do, okay. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Yes, I'm going to have to do this. But for now, I could stick with this version and just get it streaming in. So how would that work? I wonder. So what I'm doing actually is I'm looping over. I guess the problem is this triggers. Is this asynchronous or is this block? And how did I call this before? Let me take a look. This is pagetext.gd. I need to organize this stuff better. This is getting a bit too big. Too much stuff at the root here. I need to organize into folders. Let's blame. Right, so this is all new. And how did I run it? So if I go to this commit, I go to the commits. Yeah, what did we do on cleanup? We wrapped that. Got rid of those log statements. Seems to mostly work. Actually, I guess I don't need to do it. Okay, so this is on ready. So that means if I just run this, this will get called immediately. So in theory, I can just comment this out and it'll work. On text scanned, huh? Merge pages, you need to go away. You're not a thing. All right, right, let's check that out. So we have our content, page number. Oh, okay. Well, I think it's everything, right? Test cases, OCR Hawker. That's test results. Test cases, OCR Hawker. Let's open that with code. Well, whatever. Even if it isn't the whole thing, it's got to be. So that means we're going to do 0 true. 0 true. It shouldn't matter. Clean that up. Okay, so now if I run this, I might need the debug HUD on. Let me try that one more time. Because I think it said it was, yeah, processing. And then it never finishes. All right, fine. I think it's, I have to keep notes for myself. Project settings. Debug. And now if I run it, the HUD might come up and the HUD might break because I've changed so many things. Hey, look at that. And ready for ready for OCR Hawker loading. So then we process it. But we don't have anything to show on the left side. Page number, well, we I think went back to 0 based, right? So if I run this now, yeah, now it all just pops in on the left there. So I should be able to toy with this. Oh. So I call it twice. Oh yeah, okay. So that gets it to show up on both pages. I don't really need that though. I don't have 2 pages worth of Hawker results. I could get that if I wanted to test 2 different scenarios, but I'm not going to right now. All right, so that's there. And then I wonder, let me just naively assume that it's not going to cause any issues and just do some waiting in here, presuming that this is async, and see what happens. And then I could actually run that on the headset just to confirm I'm not wrong. So we make a label 3D. We add it as a child. And we call show. Oops. So what if I just bring this down here? And let's just do 1 second. Now they should pop in little by little. So that works. The only question is, does that interfere with the headset operation? There's only one way to find out. We'll do 0.5. We'll slow it up a little bit. And with that, let me get ready with the headset. And project settings. We'll turn that off. I don't think I changed anything on the Android side of the C++ code, but I probably should rebuild it anyway, just to be safe. What are we seeing here? Right, so I'm going to need to do permissions. And I might as well get Quest Link up. Or at least get that ready. First build of the day will be slow, and then it should work from there. Or it should be faster from there anyway. Let's see, give it a moment. All right, permissions, and then let's do casting. All right. And let's see what happens when it scans the page. Okay, no, that's fine. It doesn't affect the rendering because it's like an async background thing. See, now as you can see, it's gonna, when chunk number 2 comes in, it's gonna redo everything. So that's the next thing to fix. Huh, I'm surprised there's not more text coming in. Oh, because it's... It's a little odd. What was the... Never found a line to match. Okay, something went wrong there with the text. Interesting. I guess this text here, that doesn't make much sense. Oh, this only happens because we got to the final chunk. But this chunk here was from chunk 0. And then we failed to align chunks. But either way, we still have this refreshing issue. So that problem is evident to me. Whoa, my machine is lagging. Let's force stop. Here we go. Okay. Let the headset go back to sleep. Okay, so that worked fine. Actually, like, and a half second. I don't know if that's quick enough. So the question is, do I want to do per word or per line? Per line could be fun. If we add a line, I mean, I guess I'd have to add a script to this, right? I mean, we could do label.show and then it's text. I could just control it all from here. So what if I did this? We do label.show. Control X. And then for word in line dot words. Okay, this could be fun. So what is word? That's it's not a string, right? OCR word. When I do line text, what is that exactly? Line text. Yeah, so for word and OCR words. So we're building an array. This is a little ugly. Okay, but each word in a space after it. Yeah, couldn't find OCR word. It's because it's an OCR manager OCR word. So I wonder if I can do label.text plus equals word plus I could do label.text dot append. No, there's nothing like that. Okay, fine. Oh, word dot, sorry. Where am I? Word dot text. We can't do plus equals here, right? We can do a plus equals there. All right, and we will wait 1/10 of a second for each. And let's run that and see how that looks on here. Oh, I'm not gonna be able to see it, darn it. That's fine. Since I know it doesn't block. Come on, kill, die. What are you doing? Here we go. Debug mode back on, and now let's run it. Look at that. So the text just streams in now. Amazing. It's a bit slow, but it's probably fine given how slow it takes for chunks to come in. I could time it because I do know roughly how long these things take. But for now, I'll just speed it up. And I'll do, let's just double its speed. Okay, so that works for just appending the label that way. And again, it should be async, so it shouldn't block anything. I don't think there'd be any performance issues with this. But I don't really know how much Godot is going to care about this. All right, so then the other problem we need to solve. Again, maybe I don't need this new update. We'll see. But I do need to know if we're, well, yeah. So we got to keep state. Because we can't be adding new lines. So one thing I want to do, so we have page lines. We should skip the last one. So a couple things I want to, okay, so a couple things on the to-do list here. Since the last line is often like slightly cut off and junky, skip last line of display. Unless final chunk. So that's the thing that we need to do. Now we always get the page, and the page always has everything. So we also have to handle YouTube's complaining again for some reason about video. So we also need to handle, need to keep state on number of lines rendered. So we only render new lines. Yeah, only render new lines. That also means we need to keep state on, and then actually this is why I'm going to end up refactoring this, on new Y, yeah. We need to keep state on new Y. Because we keep pushing this down. New X, I mean, X isn't going to really change much. Like, new X is going to end up being default X most of the time. And Z, it never changes. So it's really just Y. Yeah, so we need to keep track of that last Y. So let me think here. And that might be it, right? So then we need to know where to start from for any new lines coming in. We need to know if we have a new line or if we're starting over from the beginning. Yeah. All right, so that means we need whether or not it's the final chunk. Or if it's a new page. Right. Clean slate if new page. So what we need to do is new page boolean is final chunk boolean. Yeah, so that's maybe where I start deviating from this old one and doing a new one. Okay. So we're going to listen to page text updated, and that needs to tell us these two things. So game state. But that means this needs to know. So then this needs to tell us. So we'll do false here. And we'll do true for add page. What did I say? If it's a new page. Oh, no, this will be true. So this means it's a new page. And this means we're updating an existing page. This logic seems slightly wrong. If we're not updating an existing page, oh, because that's... Got you. Okay, okay. Okay, so I need to do... I'll just put it up here at the top. Do var starting new page boolean equals chunk num equals 0. So if chunk num is 0, then this is true, otherwise it's false. And then we'll just always pass that. There we are. And then game state, so add new page. And I think the test suite's might have problems with this. No, I think maybe it's fine. Maybe I abstracted that properly. Okay, so that's a boolean is new page, which now means page text needs both of those, right? And page text updated. There we are. So now we got page num is new page is final chunk. Splendid. So now when this gets it, now we know these things. So I'll pass these in here. Let's start it. I want to start a new, maybe. Do I need to? I mean, I think maybe I do. I want to reference that code below. Okay. So how is this going to work? We are going to have to keep track of up here. We'll do var on this script. Line count. And that's going to default to 0. And then we'll also do var current. Well, we know this based on the line count, right? Because every time new y starts at default y. And then well, no. So we actually move it down differently depending on whether or not it's a new paragraph. Okay, so I'll have to keep track of it. Current Y location. I want to call it like cursor. It's like kind of like where the cursor on the typewriter is. We'll set that to 0. So let's start with something basic. So we could do something like if is new page, clear existing page. We'll make that a function. And actually we'll make that an underscore method, private. It's void. And all that's going to do is this. Template label is interesting. Let me bring that up to the top here. It might complain that I'm, well, I'll comment that out so it doesn't complain. This is fine, but I should only have to get this on ready, right? So on ready, why is that expanded? Oh, the text area is expanded. Okay, let me see if I can get that working real quick. In fact, let me comment this out. Let's just make sure we don't get any errors when this gets called. That's useful. And then also here, we will do okay, let's just do a logger. Just trying to figure out how to say this in words, what I'm trying to do. Template label dot text. We'll do template label has, which by default will be nothing. And it's going to be self.template label, just to be explicit. And this is like on ready. And we should set that to be, I hate how it replaces things like that. Self dot child, add child, get child. What does get child do? Get child index. You know what? Let's keep it simple. We know there's only going to be one child on ready. Once we have that, we should never be touching it ever again. So if I do page 1 here, and this one I do page 2, and actually we could do 4 self dot page number okay, let's call a string on that. Doesn't like that. Let's clean and run. So I should get a clean log statement now with that text. Cool, nothing showed up. We should be done. And then what do we end up with? In ready, for page 0 has page 1. And then actually we did call in ready for page 1 has page 2. Yeah, so index 1, yeah. So it should be 0, 1, 1, 2. Yeah. Okay, so that worked. So that did exactly what I thought it needed to do. Not as clean to just get child 0. It would be nice to get it by name or something more specific, but this is only ever supposed to have one child anyway. And especially on ready, it definitely would only have one. All right, so now we're going to do that cleanup, right? Here, I'll comment this out. Why didn't it do it twice? So we should have ran this whole gambit twice. Did this whole thing. Interesting. Yeah, that's fine. Oh, because we didn't do page 1, and so because we didn't do page 1, it didn't trigger. That's why, by design. So it ran this for page 2, but it didn't call this like I asked it to. All right, so to clean, we can just do if not equal to template, remove it. So we're just going to nuke everybody who's not the template. So that's simple, simpler anyway. So if new page, clean. And then what do we do next? We should get our page. And then we should still probably get our defaults. But now we don't have... I mean, if it is a new page... is going to equal to default y. Which means, actually, let's pull this up. Get those variables at the top. Now we'll start business logic. So we get our page, we get our defaults from the template. And then what we'll do, if it is a new page, we'll reset the current y to 0, and line count will go to 0. Which actually means these don't need values, because we're going to set them every time anyway. And let me pull this up to up here, and let me make the distinction between export vars and onReady. I don't know what the right pattern is, but my thought would be maybe exports go first, the onReady ones go second, and then everything else comes after. Or in theory, in terms of when they occur, this might occur first, these might occur second, and this might occur last, as part of the hoisting of the function definitions, maybe? Not sure. All right, so we've done that. If it's a new page, we clear it up and reset everything back to 0. So now we should be able to do, what is this counter used for, by the way? Oh, it's the label name. Well, we already have a counter, so that counter is now more universal. That's nice to know. So now we can do something like for probably not, actually. We could do for idx int in page.lines.count. And then if idx no, so we want to do range 0 to count. Okay. So if idx greater than line self.line count, I'm going to do, again, I want to use self here just because it's optional, but it makes it a little more explicit to me where this is coming from. That this isn't some local variable up here. This is on the class. Like it's on the node, which is effectively a class. Okay, so if it's greater than line count, so if line count would be at 0. So let's go greater than or equal to line count, because we're gonna start at 0. We're gonna start somewhere, right? And well, fine. Let's do pass here. Like to do skip last line if not final chunk. Why are you complaining? Too few arguments to count. Oh. It's probably not size, right? There we are. All right, so now I'm not going to do this anymore. What I'm going to do instead let's see here. Well, we only have our page here. We don't have it anywhere else. It's not a global. So we have to get our line now. We have to. So we can do var line, which is our, yeah, this is going to be this OCR line, equals page.lines IDX. So it's going to be that line from the page. So when we start at 0, it's going to be line 0. And we've already decided we're adding it because it's more than the line count. This is kind of weird. This like greater than equal here. I might change this to something like current next index or something like that, or like current, like where we are at within the page, and just check that it's equal to it instead of greater than, which is kind of weird. And then just move it, right? So every time we add it, we're going to up the count anyway, because we are going to do self.line count. We can't do plus plus, right? Nope, doesn't like that. Plus equals 1. Yeah, so we're going to add 1 to it anyway. Let's do that now. Current line IDX. Current line index. I might regret this later and refactor it. That's fine. I love how I just changed that, and Godot isn't smart enough to yell at me. Let's do that as equals equals. So if it's a new page, current line index is going to be 0. When we're on 0, it's going to be the 0 with 1. But then we move it to 1 anyway. So then when we go to 1, we're going to be there. So that's fine. So then we're just going to keep moving that index. And when we're done with this chunk, we're going to leave it there, right? So then the next time we come through, actually, we can be a little smarter now. So instead of every time a new chunk comes in, we start back at 0. We can actually say, hey, let's go from the index to the page size. And in fact, it's either going to be page size, might be page size minus 1. Since we're 0 based. Probably. Yeah, something like that. I can check to see if we're off by a line number, a single line later. Okay, so that'll work. And then, great. So now we're just checking that our index is right there. And then we'll get our line, and then all we should then be doing is add line to page. We'll add our line. Pass that in. Oops. So now I can do func, add line to page, void, pass. And what we're going to send into that is, yeah, our line that is an OCR line. An add line to page is basically going to be all this. Get rid of the pass. And then we're going to shift tab. This needs to come over 1 more. So our counter Let's move this down because we do need this as part of this step. So now instead of caring about that counter, we're going to do current line index just to give it a unique name, just so it's more readable and we know where we're at. The counter no longer gets updated here. And then these here can now get pulled out, actually. So presuming that we have this on ready, now I can do this. Oops. Let's make all these on ready as well. And that should work. So now these are more global. Here, I will make that line distinction. And I think I'll say, yeah, I think I'll say that these on ready ones will be up here. Again, I'll look up to see if Godot has a standard for this, but I think this is the standard I'm going to go with. Exports go by themselves, readies go on their own, and then everything else can kind of just sit where it needs to. So now we have that default Z. And just to make it clear, I'll make it a self.defaultZ. Now the new Y is not what it was. The new Y is going to be the current Y location. So we're going to do self dot and then X is always temporary. That only ever affects the line that we're on. Self dot. So that should work. Let's see, current Y location. What do we do with that? Yeah, so it's not going to be the default one. We want to keep track of it separate, because when we do get a new page, we're going to reset that back to 0. That's the only one that we're actually updating, because the default Z we don't touch. I wonder if I can make these. Can you make them a constant? Can you make them non-editable? I wonder. Godot on ready non-editable constant. I don't know. Can you just do a constant? This might not be right. I don't need a video. Leave me alone. Constant. Here, constants. Okay. Let's ask ChatGPT. In Godot 4.5, in GDScript, can you get a value on ready of, let's make it the child, right? Of a child node and store that as a constant for the script. You cannot directly store a runtime value as a constant. Yeah, that makes sense. Parse time before the scene runs. Right. However, there are a couple of ways to achieve what you want to, depending on your goals. Probably the getters and setters and stuff. If you want the value after the node is ready, but immutable, right, unchangeable, you can use onVar and simply not change it later. Thanks. Sure, thanks. Yeah. You could modify it, but by convention you don't. Okay, that's not what I'm asking. If you truly need it to be const, the only way for a const to work is if the value is known at compile time. Emulate immutability after initialization. So there's my value initialized, set, you know, getter and setter. My value. Yeah, but you could still change it though. Because you just have like a setter for it that checks whether or not it's initialized. No, you can't do it. Or at least not without doing something stupid. So I'm not going to mess with it. Let's see here. So where are we at? I think we're getting pretty close. So we have adding a line. Actually, this might just work. And now this is pretty clean, actually, too. Because we add it to the page. Yeah, this might be it. So will this work if I hit play here? And then I'll check it on the headset. Oh, okay. Everything's off. Something's not adjusting. Is new page should be true. Logger. Let's do that. New page. Is a new page. Final. Chunk. Is final. Okay, so I can't. All right, so let's log that just to confirm. Yeah, the only thing I am missing for the to-do, assuming I fix these final bugs, is, yeah, skip if not final. So clean slate on new page, skip last line, haven't done yet, keep state on number of lines, only render new lines. Oh, well. Hold on, let me think here for a second. Because the one thing I wanted to do... Oh no, yeah, this should work. So when a new chunk comes in, any line that we've already rendered, we skip. So that should work. Until we get to a new page and we clear it out. This also does sadly mean, and I'll worry about it later, if we re-OCR the same page, and the second time we OCR it, we improve the quality, then we won't update the page with that better result. But honestly, I wouldn't want to stream those lines in anyway. I probably would just swap the line out, swap those words out. So just have it like change. Hold on. Okay, so yeah, let me do a need to handle. I don't want to put that there. Where do I want to put this? I'll just put it next to this other one. Also need to handle updating existing lines with better text. That's a future thing. Keep state on new one. Okay, so this is all done. The old one, I don't think I need anymore. So the easiest way to see this would be if we go 3D. And actually we slow it down. So when we add words, let's go to like 1 second per word. Let's go real slow. So that's worse than I thought. But let's go 3D and let's bring that in. Oops, that is not what I want to be doing. Debug HUD. There we are. Let's drag it in, drag it up. Drag it in. Why is it not updating? Usually updates live, I thought. Let's try it again. Better. I can do closer. Drag it up some more. Good, the text is almost readable. Go up a little more, forward a little more. And let's run that. All right, I'll take it down a little bit and call that done. So interesting. So that's a fun bug. Let's go back to scripting. What's happening? Let's walk through this line by line and see what happens here. So update page text. We have the whole thing. We call update page. We get the whole page. Oh, did we log that it's a new? Hold on. Yeah, so we log the whole file here. Huh? Did we not? Oh, now I have this down here. New page, true. Final chunk, true. So we load it, we call on scanned. in ready for Hawker loading. Why do we end up calling this twice? Is it because of the book? Because the book's there too, so we're doing it for both the debug HUD and the book, probably? Probably. Since that code's the same code. And the debug HUD has its own page. Right. And I was toying around with the book before when I was messing with it. Right. Okay. Okay, that's a little bit annoying because that means then what we call this 4 times. But we skip 2 of them effectively. So then we end up calling this twice. Hence why we get this line twice. Got it. Okay, so either way, new page, and it's the final chunk. So update page. Do I even end up using... Oh, I haven't used final chunk yet, but I will. Okay, so we clear the page. We should be deleting everything, which is fine. We set our default Y to... Yeah. Self.default Y. So that's where we set our current Y location. Set our index to 0. We should be going from 0 to the whole through the whole page. We don't need this check then if index is current location because it always will be. So instead we could just do if index, if is final chunk. So if not is final chunk, and IDX is equal to, again, I'll have to fix this. Or, I'm like implementing this now. I'm implementing the thing instead of fixing the bug. Because if it's not the final chunk. No, see, if it is the final chunk, we do always want to do the final line. Let me think here. I could do the simpler version of this. So if we're not the final chunk and we're at the end of our size, just do a continue. And I'll just mark this as, yeah, so skip last line if not final chunk, as it's often bad OCR. So we get our line. And again, we're still operating on line 0. We call add line. We duplicate our label. We set its name. We get the default X. You know, if it's new paragraph or something like that, we adjust where our cursor is. Indented is title, fine. For this first one, we should be adding it at position 0. Or wherever the default is. We add the child, we show it. I mean, we're supposed to be adding this one word a second. Let's do 5 seconds. Let me see if I can just visually see what this thing's doing. Huh. That's not happening async, is it? Is it? It's not like doing something weird like... I mean, I should be able to actually, if I run this, and I click into remote, main, shoot, where is it? Yeah, how quickly do these show up? That's what I want to know. Oh, darn it. Okay, let's try that again. Let's read. Like immediately. Oh, weird. Okay, what if... So we'll do add line. Let's add a sleep here too. That'd be weird if that's like, I would have expected that not to be. That defies my understanding of logic. So let's go with 10 seconds. There should be a 10-second wait in between each line. And then for here, we'll go 0.5. So we should get, yeah, we should be able to see something more visual now that tells us what's going on. To put it simply, the consequences of being that's a big gap, by the way. So that kind of fixed things. Is that even correct, that text? Let me just visually confirm. Although I could see now, then it's gonna like right over that same. Maybe because it maybe hit the limit. That's weird. Yeah, it was correct in terms of those lines. That's funny. So that means this is async? I would not have thought that. So interesting. And again, so weird that like it produced such a huge gap. All right, well, what if I bring this in like this. I don't want to do this, but what if I do it? I could speed it up a little bit, but let's just see what it does here. If I kill that and then let's get rid of this 10-second wait. And let's go, we'll speed it up a bit. So funny that putting that in its own sub-function meant that it was asynchronous. That is so weird. I mean, cool, but, and maybe that's like a common game engine thing, the way Godot handles functions like that, but all right, so I think for now, I'm not going to put in its own function. It bloats this function a little bit, but I can live with it. So now we don't have to sleep there anymore. And we don't have to add line to page. So yeah, why is it going to very weird locations? Let me do that line by line. So for line by line, we could just do, yeah, I'll do a log statement here. Working on line string IDX, and we'll say y position is and we'll do, you know, self.current line y location. Let's do that. And I need to make that a string, right? And now it'll be ugly, but I'll see it in the logs now. Getting doubles. So it happens twice per. But that's okay because we have two different page scripts running at the same time. One for me to visually see and one is the real one. The debug one versus the other one. Okay, so working on line 0. Y position is 3. So what is the Y position on this? What is it? It's the label position X, right? Oh, that's not an integer. It's a float. Oh, that's why. I'm dumb. See, this is a float. And you know what? There's probably a warning about this. Integer division, decimal part will be discarded. You know, so if I, paid attention to the warnings, that would help. Gotcha. So yeah, we end up with 0. So we're subtracting off. Yeah, a quarter of a... Yeah, of course it's going to round off to something dumb. There we are. Look at that. That's pretty good too, right? I think the speed is fast enough. I mean, they're going to come in chunks, and each chunk is going to take a couple seconds. So, I don't know. That might be distracting. It'll be cool for a demo video, though, so I can always tweak it later if I don't like it. Nice. There we go. That got done. And it didn't take the whole time, either. And here I thought it would, you know, turn into like a multi-day problem. I think there is still... Well, the question is, what does it do in chunking? And the quickest and easiest way for me to test that updating existing lines with better text. We'll worry about that later. That's not for today. Update page text old. I can safely nuke that as I borrowed the code. Let's delete that. So it's largely the same code with just a few tweaks. Interesting then that this is effectively like an async operation then. What I think I'll probably do then. Ooh, that means this is like async, which could be a problem. I don't know. If this is async, if this function call is asynchronous, how long does it take? Well, I guess it'll get children. So in theory, very quickly it'll have that list, and then it'll start operating on them. Meanwhile, these two operations have to happen. Then it's got to bill, it's got to get call.size, do this check. So by the time it actually, and then it has to get a line. So by the time it actually gets to adding a child, assuming there is like a race condition here, in theory, either this is done by that point, or at least the get children's done, and it has this list of children, and it's deleting them. All right, let me do that. Let's bring this up here. I can at least flatten this a little bit. There. So now, if it's not the page number we're working on, we ditch out. We get our page. If it's a new page, we can do this lower. Because that's all setup stuff. So there, we've got our two if checks. Once we get past those, we get our page, and then we operate. I do have a question here of like, am I doing the right lines? Easiest way to determine that is to run this real quick and then go pull up what the result's supposed to be. And that is those Haka results, right? Let's open this with VS Code. Okay, so the last line should be this ugly XK thing on this, at least on this test set. And we should have started with, to put it simply, which we did. I think we end up missing the line. Yeah, we get the chasm, and then we miss 2 lines after that. I hate this. I had to do this elsewhere, and I don't know why. Let's just do var line count int equals +2. Why should I be doing +2 there? That doesn't make any sense. But let's see what happens and see if I get an error. I could run it a little bit faster, but it's already running. If I have to run this multiple times, I'll speed it up. And I could make it variables, of like a variable configuration of like how fast does it write a single word. But I've had to do that elsewhere in GD script of like adding 2 to something like a size, and it's just like, why? Why should I? That's something I'm gonna have to look into one of these days. Nope, out of bounds. Okay, we got an error. So does it not? Oh, does that not count as a good word? Maybe. Oh, actually, let me look at that. The chasm. No. Okay, we ditch it. So no, we are good. We are fine. Let me just undo all that then. We don't need it. It's working just as expected. Yeah, I'm not going to refactor any of this. We'll just keep it as is. And I'll keep this slow for the minute. All right, let's just test it on the headset. Let's see what it does. So if I run this now, get ourselves ready for casting. Once that loads, I'll set the permissions and then do the cast. Permissions, and let's cast. Whoa. Oh, darn it. Debugging zone. Project settings, that's going to make it really hard to test things. All right, let's run that again. Again, we'll need permissions ready and ready for casting. I'm just about done with coffee, ready to switch to water. Let me finish this off. All right, water time. All right, permissions, cast. App's still figuring out what it wants. Okay. Let's see how this does. doing page 2 instead of page 1. Why is it doing that? That's weird. Let's try this again. It's so weird. Or is there more chunks coming in? No, there's probably more chunks coming in, but it's like failing to OCR. Let's see here. Fair enough. So it does look like it properly did page 1, right? Because if I look at... Yeah, so it got page 1 for whatever reason, but only part of page 1. So what did it conclude? It concluded that... I think in this case... Yeah, it concluded like page 0 wasn't good enough, but page 1 was. So it started OCRing page 1, is what happened. Yeah, change this from like, was it processing? Do this something like var page string equals left if page num equals 0 else right, and then I can do page name, and now we can ditch all that. So it'd be like processing left page, processing right page. That'll just make it slightly, ever so slightly, easier to understand what's going on. And we have OCR results for I can bring that over. I mean, this might just be an unrelated bug. It was rendering the text fairly appropriately, so. So we can do ++ page name and get rid of the page num. There we are. I'm gonna do 4. All right, just a little bit of improvement. So yeah, I do know there's a bug here I gotta fix, but it's completely unrelated. And then what happened here? we see, I keep logging. I mean, this is a useful log statement, but again, I have to know that that's the right page on the C++ side. And what I have to infer then is, so we rejected the right page, but then we did the left page. Huh. All these are, shouldn't there be left, right, left, right? We should be seeing page 0, page 1, page 0, page 1. Why are these all... And then these are all page zeros. That's something weird going on there. That shouldn't be happening. We're still casting, right? Let me kill that. So we call process page. And what are we passing in? Current page number. Oh, interesting. That could be a problem. If I do current page number there, that may just fix a bug in terms of what's being said. Were we even using that elsewhere? Yeah, current page number. Yeah, so we were passing it through. But then if we just do page number, so current page number, and then we set page number to be current page number. So that's why it's off by. Okay, so that's a minor bug, but that's probably confusing things a bit. So when I look at these logs, this is probably a mixture of both 0 and 1. But might as well make this fix too. So I could do string page name equals left if current page number equals 0, else it's going to be right. Okay. Since I don't want to search my own code for this, how do you do a ternary operator in C++? It's the question mark. If that's true, then... Sorry. If this is true, colon left. I do kind of like this syntax for ternary operators. This idea of like, here is the test that you're going to do. And then you just know true or false, as opposed to the Python one. It's not as elegant, maybe. I guess it depends on what you care about more. Do you care about what your results are going to be and you want to see those first, especially if this line gets long, which they often do for ternary operators? Okay, so now I can just do page name. Awesome. And then for this, I can do build-all. Might as well. Again, I said earlier, there's a chance that maybe it doesn't have everything. And then I can build and launch again and do a clean test and see I mean, there's a chance that I just got a bad OCR result by accident, but if nothing else, the logs should be a little cleaner now. I mean, really, it should be, well, fine. Page left is fine. Page right, left, right, whatever. I can change how that looks some other time. Okay, so presumably these numbers were wrong, and this was like 0, 1, 0, 1. Yeah, I may want to log something every time anyway, to just say like, hey, we are moving forward with OCRing, and here, by the way, were the results. I think I also want to move this logic up, because I think one of the things that's on my to-do list is, yeah, I think most of the time it only makes sense to do one page. Right now I'm processing the left page and then processing the right page every time in that order. And then each page decides whether or not to reject. Like if the scores aren't good enough, based on this logic, reject the page. The reality is, I think I've been noticing in my own live testing, is it's pretty much always true that only one is good anyway. So it's only ever going to be the left page, or it's going to be the right page 90% of the time. Because of how the book's being held, you're either looking at one page or you're looking at the other. And the one you're looking at is going to OCR well. The one you're not looking at might OCR okay, or it might do the thing we just saw, which is it was cut off, and so it's actually like the left half of the right page that got OCR'd. And so, especially when we've just turned a page of the book, what we probably want to do is do the left page, skip the right page, and get back to doing a second round of processing the left page so we can improve the quality. And do that like twice before we even bother looking at the right page, which could be thrown in a background process or something. I have a task to do the more complicated version of this, but I think for now what I could do is pull this logic out and basically take the two shapes, check their rectangularity, pick whichever one's better, and that's the one we process. But for now, let's not do that just yet. Here, let me kill it, and then get ready for permissions and casting again. And getting close to time here, so that'll probably be this will probably be the last thing I do, and I'll call it a day. At least on stream anyway, and then off stream I'll probably do some of the more annoying things. I may try to upgrade Godot officially to 4.5, since I'm not really on an official release of 4.5 right now, and try to do some other things to try again start bringing this app to life. All right, permissions, and then let's cast. Put the headset on. All right. We're not getting debug logs, which is annoying. I think I slowly figured out why that is. Come on. There we are. If I just look at more of the left page. Why is it not triggering? There might be a sensitivity issue there. It's not. It should have triggered sooner than that, and I shouldn't have had to hold the book as flat to do it. And what? Why are we not? Something's being weird. No text? None? Not at all? Okay, let's try this again. We'll kill the cast. This time I will actually... Fine, I'll force stop, but... I forget. What magic did I figure out? Hey, Mimish. I feel like maybe it was like restarting Godot or something. I had kind of slowly figured out that if I want the debugging to come back, I have to do something like, I don't know, unplug the headset and plug it back in or something like that, or else I don't have the ability to get. Like we won't get the debug logs. All right, let's give it a second. Why are you not? There we go. All right, so let's try this again. Get the permissions set up and ready to cast. And maybe it'll actually work this time. Now it's doing a whole full build again. That's annoying. Okay, so maybe it's the first time you open Godot for the day that it takes longer to do this. And then it caches things when you do a rebuild. And maybe there's some issue with that cache when it comes to debugging, where it can't attach the debugger properly. Suspicious thoughts. All right, come on. Let's go. Come on, come on. Finish up. There we go. Permissions, casting, and I'll put the headset on. All right. Drag that over to here. And no, we didn't get the logs. Okay, well, let me just give it a try anyway. Oh. It's not going to... Oops, that was a bad click on the keyboard. All right. It's going to be really hard for me to see what's going wrong with this if I don't have the ability to see logs. Did it crash? Here, I can actually get logs. Where's my other terminal? Here you are. Oops. I don't have... Okay, well now it's actually kind of working. Is that correct? Hold on. I can't look at the logs, so... Yep, that paragraph change was correct. Crying. What is all this uproar is correct. Well, there are mountains. I hear wolves. I think we may have lost a line somewhere. So it is possible. But that, I don't know where that bug might be. I'll have to go chase that down. Can see small. Okay, so we are missing like the final chunk. But that actually kind of worked. So I'm going to call that good and call that done for now. And probably call it here for the day. Or at least, for the morning, because I'm going to go grab lunch and then maybe do some more work. Let me think for a second. Let's see where we're at. Let's take stock of where we are. I'll kill the app on the headset. I'm going to try to do some live testing later where I'm just kind of sitting in a chair and reading and see how that goes. Okay, well, git checkout -b stream words. We'll call it streaming words to page. Git status-s. We'll do a git diff. Just do a quick little look over. I don't want the debug HUD change. I'll undo that. I just moved it closer so I could see things better. Game state, yep, changed signals, made some changes there. Changed how we display logs to improve that a little bit, although I have yet to see those logs since they wouldn't connect. And then page text, pulled some things out to the top, so now we have some more like global values to keep track of. Oh, yeah, well. Oh, that could be part of our problem. That's not a good thing. Yeah, this might fail. What was that? Template label. Okay, I don't need this. Yeah, this could interfere. Ah. Why must you do that? There we go. There we go. Yeah, we don't want to be trying to load a file. I mean, the file might not be there. And even if it is, and if it is there, like, I don't think it was, because if it was, I would have seen it show up on the page. So I think, yeah, anyway, this is not good. We don't want to be doing this. That was like quick testing only. And then here, I'll pull these out. See, this is why we code review ourselves. Anyway, whole bunch of new stuff down here. Kind of rewrote all these things. That's all good. And then on the back end, made a small tweak. So git status-s. I'll do my add files.sh script so I can just quickly add the typical things that I typically want to add and not add other things. Git reset debug HUD.tscn. I'll check that out, but I'll leave that for now. Git commit -m stream words onto the page. I might, do a little extra checking, but largely we'll call this done. There we are. Yeah, so I'll do a little extra testing, maybe make one or two small tweaks in the code. Honestly, instead of looking at it locally, it's a little bit easier to code review from here, I'll admit. So I'll take another code review, look at it, make other small tweaks, but largely I'm going to call this done and merge it So streaming words onto the page. Was there any other nuance to this? Unless it's the last chunk, we should also make sure we skip the last line. As it's likely full of junk. Oh, I should run the test suite. I don't think this would impact the test suite, but it could. I could see it causing every single test to take longer. No, it wouldn't, because the test suite skips all this. Since it's its own scene, we never actually even render those page objects. So if I want to test this, I'd have to write a unit test that's just sort of like a GD script test, which I could do. Actually, this would be a good candidate for writing a GD script unit test to verify that it does the thing it's supposed to do. All right, what else? Unless the last chunk, we should make sure we skip the last line, as it's usually junk. Interesting. I might be skipping the last line, but not skipping its count. Is that possible? Let's see here. So if we're not on the final chunk, but we're on the last index, maybe continue. I could add a log line here to confirm we're doing that right. Otherwise, I mean, that's not really a continue, right? If we're not on the final chunk and we're at the last index, I would do a break. Like we're on the last one anyway, so just like we are killing the for loop. Too slow, we ran into issues of lines writing out of order. Yeah, I don't think that's not a problem. I figured that out. Okay, so this, again, a little more testing, maybe 1 or 2 tweaks, and then call that done. And then I'll decide what's the next thing to do. I may, again, quickly do this, only OCR 1 page. That shouldn't be much of a code thing to do. That kind of simplifies things a little bit as well, and it might make the test suite run faster and cause other problems later. But they're good problems to have. They're problems that I want. And then take a stab at bringing back the day-night cycle. I think I should do that. And then maybe try Godot 4.5. But I think before Godot 4.5, I think maybe these two. Like this one should be really quick. And then this one is a quick experiment to see, can I bring back something visual? And then I may throw together a quick little like alpha trailer. Hey, what up, Scroll UA? How you doing? I'm about to hop off actually. But happy to see you show up. But I still want to take a stab at bringing this back. The plugin I was using for it was killing XR performance. But I do want to turn it back on, and I've heard that compatibility renderer for Godot is better, but that might depend on which version of Godot. So maybe I should try, this is where like my brain goes in circles of, maybe I should take a stab at getting myself up to 4.5 proper and then try doing this. I don't know. In any case, how'd the test harness do? This one failed, but otherwise, what are we at? 78 for the scores? And where should we be? Two hours ago. This is not needed. 77.98. 77.99. Average time is 6.2. Slightly slower, but that's probably because I'm streaming. The CPU is going to run a little harder. So that's probably the reason why this one failed. Is it just, I think the threshold for it's 12 seconds, right? Yeah. So it slightly went over its budget for time. So what was done during this stream? Fine. You know what? I'll show you. No. Yeah, let me show you real quick. In fact, let me do a build. Since I did tweak something, right? Didn't I? And I'll show it on the headset so you can see. But basically streaming text to the headset. Oh, get diff. Oh, I can't really do a get diff. Yeah, break instead of continue. Okay. Let me let this finish real quick and then I'll run it on the headset. Let me get set up for that. And while that's running, let me properly remove it. Maybe I'll actually get debugging working. You've inspired me, Scroll, to continue working for a few more moments. What was I looking for? Oh, yeah. Let me go get the command. There we go. Let's actually uninstall it. See if maybe uninstalling it somehow helps me get the debugger back. And then I'll unplug the headset, plug it back in, sacrifice a goat, whatever it takes to hopefully have it give me debug logs in the editor so I don't have to chase them another way. All right, set up for permissions, and yeah, I kind of want to see this work again because it is kind of cool to see. Let's give it a moment. I'll get a book set up. There we go. Send permissions. Start casting. And wait for the app to load. I don't know why it does this sometimes. Okay, go find a book. Come on. Did I change something in the logic that like made this not do this as easy as it used to? There we go. Now it's processing. Shouldn't have been that hard. I'll have to fix that. And let me see. Let's see here, Scroll. Let's see if we can show this working. There we go. Look at that. Now the text is streaming in. No, there's some bad OCR there in the middle. I don't know why that is, but I may want to stop like 2 lines before, like, so don't render the last 2 lines because we may OCR them better. I wonder. And actually, that last line is looking a little dark. And that might mean we actually displayed it twice. We rendered it twice. Yeah, I'm trying to add a little flip. I'm starting to get to the point where, yes, there's more things I could fix in OCR. Yes, there's more optimizations and speed boosts and quality improvements. But like, let's start getting the app like feeling like a real app. You know, like let's start adding some spice and sugar. Yeah, see, this doesn't... That final OCR result didn't match what I visually saw in the headset. So, okay, there's definitely a bug there I gotta fix, where we might be displaying a line that is partially OCR'd, and so not a great OCR. And then when we come back... like we've got the old bad line, and so we don't re-render the new better line. Anyway, now I got nice left, right, easier to read. Cool. Yeah. Okay. What is this? Never found a line that matched. Oh, is this because it... Okay, so it did initially decide that it wanted to process the... Oh, it tried processing the left page for some reason, and it did a terrible job, so it gave up, and then it tried again. Okay, so that's why it took so long, is because it was processing a page that didn't OCR very well. Why would that be? Also, we had like alignment failed. Shouldn't we have short-circuited? I thought I had logic where if we don't get any good alignments, we just stop early. Maybe we do, but we still send the signal. Or something. I don't know. But this is saying left. And then right failed because it wasn't close enough. So we did try processing the left page. Wasted a bunch of time processing it, which is what led to my frustration. And then the second time it tried, it succeeded. Okay, well, I'll take a look at that. In any case, that's all the time I got. So I'm going to head off to lunch. Thank you for hanging out with me. Mimish, nice to see you. Scroll, thank you for coming back. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I will chat with you later.